Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about a company called Ginkgo Bioworks. The ticker symbol is DNA. If you wonder why the ticker symbol sounds so familiar, DNA is literally the sequencing in your cells. It essentially is what makes up all living beings. They do something called synthetic engineering of DNA, which means they're engineers of DNA. Quite simple. You have structural engineers, mechanical engineers, audio engineers, automotive engineers. Well, this is DNA engineers. If you think about it, they're an assembly line of DNA sequencing. They make money in two ways: foundry and code, or biosecurity, whatever you'd like to call it. The foundry, they have a huge laboratory where you rent the laboratory, use the facilities, use the staff, use the resources, and utilize Ginkgo Bioworks state-of-the-art buildings to develop your DNA sequencing. The competitive advantages: nobody has a laboratory like Ginkgo Bioworks, and seldomly will somebody be able to build such a laboratory, because as others are building a laboratory to try to catch up, Ginkgo Bioworks keeps making it better, better, and better. They make money in two separate ways. The first way they make money is if somebody uses their facility, they collect fees for using the facility in many different manners. The second way is if you hit a home run when you're doing the DNA sequencing, you become a partner with Ginkgo Bioworks, and they're taking part of the revenue from your home run. Besides for that, they have their biosecurity or their code division, where they essentially have a library of code that you can use when you're developing your DNA sequencing. Pretty freaking cool. Now, the company is not profitable, but they're growing at a massive, massive rate. Year over year, they grew over 231%, bringing in around $145 million worth of revenue. The current market cap of the company is around $6 billion. I'll go over it in a moment. And all-time high was around $30 billion. It's trading at around $3.45 with an all-time high of $15 and change. Obviously, it's not profitable. So the question is this: you as an investor need to ask yourself, is the future in DNA sequencing? And if your answer is yes, then this is a pick and shovel play. A pick and shovel play is very simple to understand. Back in the day, during the gold rush, you weren't making money as a person who mined gold. You made money as the store that sold the picks and axes to the miners. John D. Rockefeller, he made the most money not when he was looking for oil, but he actually bought the oil as the refinery from the people that were digging for the oil. This way, he always was able to utilize and capitalize on the oil market without losing any money if he found a dud in the oil field. It's quite expensive to produce things, including DNA sequencing. So by giving somebody a laboratory, this allows somebody to build on your platform. And if they build on your platform, you make money. But you yourself, as Ginkgo Bioworks, does not need to look into creating the next big thing. You are giving the next big thing the platform to build on, if that makes sense. Amazon doesn't need to write the best book. Amazon does not need to create the best product. Amazon just gives you the ability to send that big product to the person that wants that big product. Essentially, that's kind of how Ginkgo Bioworks works. Now, for me, I believe that everyone's portfolio should have some type of DNA. I know that this is a taboo. I know some people are like, oh, my religious sentiment, I'm not going to do this. And that's okay. I'm not talking you into it. Lo and behold, I have some subs that are interested in Ginkgo Bioworks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm invested in Ginkgo Bioworks. I checked YouTube and I noticed that there's not a lot of YouTubers that are talking about Ginkgo Bioworks. It's pretty freaking funny. So I'm going to go over the financials right now. Whatever you guys want to take from this, you take from this. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just an entertainer, a YouTuber, educator at best. And I'm not claiming that this is going to be a hit. I'm also not claiming that it's not. For me, it's worth an investment because of this taboo field. If this niche field takes off, which I believe in the future it will, there's no telling how big Ginkgo Bioworks can get. 10 billion market cap, 50 billion, 100 billion, half a trillion, 1 trillion. Who knows how big synthetic DNA sequencing is going to become? If you believe that there's going to be engineering of DNA, and I can't imagine a world where that's not going to happen because it's already happening, right? 21andMe, where they check where you're from and your bloodlines and what your geographic area where you're from, right? That is already a form of it, already showing you what DNA is going to do, already showing you where this world, which direction we're moving into. It's a little difficult right now and it's still super expensive, but in the future, it's going to get super cheap to do. Just like computers are becoming super cheap, technology makes things super cheap. This is what's going to end up happening with DNA sequencing in the future. Guys, let me read you their quarter earnings. It just came out for quarter 2. And like I said, they're not profitable. They are overvalued in any which way, shape, or form you look at it. However, they are growing at a super hyper pace. Now, to be fair, the amount that they're growing is still not worth the dollar value that the market cap is at. However, you never know, when that thing blows up. I'm going to read over the business highlights and strategic positioning. Generated foundry revenue of $44 million in quarter 2, representing a 105% growth over comparable prior year. Foundry is when they allow people to use their laboratory. That's that portion that I was talking about. They added 13 new cell programs to the Foundry platform, which is an increase of 86% growth over the same period last year. It's very important that they grow new clients. The more clients that they grow in more differentiated fields, the quicker they will grow, the quicker this niche market will grow, and the quicker the entire industry of synthetic DNA engineering is going to grow. So it's very important that they expand their footprint. Ginkgo's biosecurity and public health offering had another strong quarter, producing $100 million in revenue in quarter 2. On July 24th, they came into an agreement to buy out 2 companies, Zymergen, and the second one is Bayer's Research and Development Facility. And they also hired a woman called Dr. Cathie to sit on the board of directors. Second quarter 2022 total revenue of $145 million. That's up from $44 million just a year ago, which is 231% increase in revenue. That is freaking massive, massive, massive growth in revenue. Second quarter foundry revenue, $44 million. That's up $22 million in the comparable prior year, an increase of $105 million. Second quarter loss from operations was $647 million, inclusive of stock-based compensation, which was $607 million. The stock-based compensation, I'm laughing because this is like Palantir all over again. If you've been watching my channel, I'm a huge Palantir bull. It's funny to hear. Compared to a loss of operations of just $60 million a year ago. So yes, their revenue is going up 231%, but their loss of operations goes up nearly 1,000%. Stock-based compensation expenses primarily relates to the continued GAAP accounting for modification of restricted stock units. So yeah, they have a huge problem with stock-based compensation, but again, how are you supposed to get the best talent? And it's better to use stock-based compensation for dilution at this particular point of a growing company than to use the cash on hand. And as they mentioned before, they have $1.4 billion worth of cash that can get them through any hard times, the recession, and any growth period and any acquisitions that they'll need to do. And there's for sure going to be more acquisitions to come. Second quarter 2022 adjusted EBITDA of $23 million. So EBITDA is very, very simple. This is before all fancy accounting principles. EBITDA is just revenue minus cash expenses. That's it. Improved from $38 million in the comparable prior year period. Cash on cash equivalents balance ended the second quarter, $1.4 billion. And now they gave you guidance. Guidance is very important. Ginkgo continues to expect to add 60 new cell programs on the Foundry platform in 2022. Ginkgo further revised its expectations for total revenue from $375 to $390 million to $425 to $440 million. So they're increasing their forward-moving statement. This is huge. Ginkgo continues to expect foundry revenue of 165 to 180 million in 2022. While the biosecurity remains uncertain business, based on the strong year-to-date performance, Ginkgo now expects biosecurity revenue in 2022 of at least $260 million. I just want to show you the price, $3.40. It's down nearly 9% right now. As I said, 52-week low, $2.09. So it's like 50%, 60% up from the 52-week low. 52-week high was $15.86. Market cap, $6 billion. Guys, it's as simple as that. I hope you like this review. Ginkgo Bioworks is growing at a massive pace. They're working in a very niche field, in a very taboo field, but they are growing at a massive rate. They're still unprofitable. They're giving a ton of stock-based compensation. And at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself a question if you want to invest in this company or not. Do you or do you not believe that the future of the world is going to have synthetic DNA sequencing or DNA engineering? If you believe that DNA engineering has a place in this world in the future, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, your kids, whatever, then DNA, Ginkgo Bioworks, is a play that should be in your portfolio if you believe in this field. If you don't believe in this field, then there's nothing to talk about. I do believe in this field, and it's just a diversification for me and my portfolio. I love it. I know that this is one of the darlings of Cathie Wood. I don't follow how many shares she has, but I know ARK Invest loves Ginkgo Bioworks. I know they love CRISPR Therapeutics, if I'm not mistaken. And Cathie Wood thinks the future is all about DNA sequencing, and the pricing is becoming crazy cheap. I remember she gave like an example of that 23andMe or DNA sequencing, how it was super, super expensive, and the price is just going down thousands folds, you know? Guys, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you later. The Berg is out.